The clock is ticking. Sequence 21. Thank you for working with us. We look forward to seeing the photos. You are welcome, Maddie responded. She had just finished covering a government event. She packed up her equipments and shoved them in her backpack. Gracie did the same and they walked to the elevator together. On the ride down, her phone vibrated. She reached in her bag to grab it. Frowning, she read the message from her sister Vanessa. Hey, I need a favor. The only time her sister texted her was when she needed money. Shoot, she responded. I need a place to stay just for a few days. Oh, it's complicated. I will explain everything when I come tomorrow. Okay, but please don't tell Mom. I am coming over. Okay, you are okay, Gracie said when they stepped out of the elevator and walked to the car. Yes, that's just my sister texting. Your sister? Yes. You guys are now in good terms. Well, she is my sister and no matter how badly she treats me, I can't push her away. You have a good heart. She laughed. It's called humanity. Maddie dropped Gracie home first, then drove herself home. Maddie, a voice startled her as she unlocked her door. She turned to find Max. Hey, sorry for scaring you like that. It's okay. This is when you have knocked off. Yes. Oh, yes, she yawned. I am sorry, I am really tired. I can't stand here and chat. Oh, let me not keep you. Good night. Good night. Stepping into her house, all she wanted was a cold shower, food and sleep. She set her bag on the couch and kicked her heels off. Trini, she called. Tess came rushing into the room. Trini is sleeping. Oh, I thought I would find her up. She had a tiring day at school. Okay. Her stomach grumbled loudly as she walked to her bedroom. Get my food ready, please. She opened her bedroom door and walked in. Trini was curled up in her bed in a fetal position. She stood in silence for a while, eyeing at her child. Sleep tight, Mama Bear, she whispered. She went into her bathroom to shower. After her shower, she threw on her pajamas. Then she walked out of her room to the living room for her supper. She ate her food in silence while thinking about her sister. Being the eldest, Maddie worried about her younger sisters. She couldn't bring herself to hate them no matter how bad they treated her. When she finished eating her food, she put her plates in the sink and drank some water before retreating to her room. She brushed her teeth and got into the bed next to Trini. She let out a sigh and closed her eyes. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. What was it about her that appealed to him? He could have his pick of any woman, and yet here he was restlessly turning and tossing, thinking about a woman he couldn't have. Although he was more sexually frustrated than any other time in his life, he couldn't bring himself to hook up with another woman. He had grown so fond of Maddie it would seem like betrayal. Turning over in his bed, he checked the time on his phone. It was 10 p.m. He grabbed his phone and climbed out of bed. Walking into his living room, he grabbed himself a cold beer and sat down on the sofa. He looked at the phone in his hands, longingly fighting the urge to call her. Finally, he quickly typed out her name and pressed dial. He held his breath as he held the phone to his ear. It rang. He wondered if she was sleeping. It was late at night after all. It continued to ring. After the first 2 rings, he wondered if she was going to pick up. All he wanted was just to hear the sound of her voice, even just for a second, so he dialed her number again. Hello, her voice finally sounded on the other end of the line. His heart skipped a bit. Maddie, how are you? She asked in a sleepy voice. I am okay. Did I wake up? She yawned loudly. I was just about to sleep. I didn't mean to disrupt your sleep. It's okay. How was your day? It was tiring. What were you up to? I was covering a big function and it ended late. Oh, yeah. I got home a few minutes ago. I am exhausted. She yawned again. Get some rest then. I will check up on you in the morning. Sure. Good night. Night. He felt better after talking to her. Now he could try and sleep. He stood up and was about to head towards his bedroom when someone knocked at the door. Frowning, he checked his phone again. It was 22:20. Maybe it was one of his buddies at the door. He walked to the door and opened it. Abby, what are you doing here? He asked, recognizing the woman he'd once had an affair with some time back. She was wearing a long trench coat with high-heeled shoes. She walked right past him as if he wasn't there. He shook his head and closed the door. She walked towards the shelf in the corner, not waiting for him to follow. She poured herself a generous amount of whiskey. What are you doing here? He demanded. She sipped her whiskey, welcoming the burn of alcohol as it slid over her tongue and eased down to her stomach. You have been quiet, she said. Abby. I made it clear that I don't ever wanna see you again. A seductive smile played on her lips. We both know you didn't mean it. I don't appreciate you popping up here at this time of the night. She ignored him. Abby, Chard, leave. She unzipped her coat and dropped it to the floor. She was bare except for a pair of black lace panties and a matching bra. His eyes traveled down her body. She was perfectino. You want me? She reached the back and removed her bra. He gazed at her cleavage. He had always been enthralled by her naturally large breasts. Chard closed his eyes and tried to breath. Leave, he said, this time a little louder. A slight smile spread across her lips. She knew she had him where she wanted him to be. She didn't say a single word as she made her way to him. He wanted nothing more than to kick her out of his house, but words failed him. She stood in front of him and slid her panties off. It's me, Chard. She stepped forward and wrapped her hands around his neck, pressing a long kiss to his lips. At first Chard didn't fight it, but when he came back to his senses he pushed her off him. No, he yelled. Stop playing games. I know you want me, she said. Abby. He breathed. Leave, he said softly. No. She stepped forward back to him. She roughly took his face into her hands and kissed him. This time around didn't have the power to fight her. He put his arms around her back and held her close. As the passion built up in them, they began moving their lips, holding each other closer to the other. ***.